For any holiday, you want to have that one really special night where you'll remember it forever.
Because the food is 5-star, and often now we've got Michelin chefs involved. On a port day, if you're not going ashore, there's often very reduced prices in the spa.
I would always have a look at the apps available for the cruise you're on.
If you've got a pair of shoes that you love but they're really, really high and you're difficult and you've struggled to walk in them after 2 hours or an hour, just wear them on your cruise holiday.
Any American style cruise ship, if you're on over Halloween, expect some of the most fantastic parties you've ever seen.
So if you've got a white dress, I just pop it in the suitcase. We collect fridge magnets, so I get one at the first port and then I use them throughout the cruise, or you can always pack some.
No, we don't. It's fine. That's exactly what it says on the thing. So on a Dave's cruise hacks.
Can't think of any. We're just going to make them up.
Yeah, we just make them up.
Okay.
Right. Now we've got some cruise hacks for you. Number one, I would say always bring a water bottle with you, because sometimes when you're walking around a cruise ship and you want to stay hydrated, you don't want to keep using the plastic cups or
they're going anyway. So,
yeah. It can be quite difficult to sometimes keep hydrated, and you don't want to take plastic water bottles on and off the ship. So I always take a water bottle with me, and more ships actually are kind of accommodating this, and they start putting water fountains around in the public areas. So that's a cruise hack number one.
Okay. Mine is to take something. Well, we collect fridge magnets, so I get one at the first port and then I use them throughout the cruise, or you could always pack some. The secret is the walls in the cabin are actually metal. So if you get invitations or you've got your vouchers for your excursions, you can just have them on the wall in the order of the day. This is a bit geeky, isn't it?
No, it's good.
And the order of the day. So if you've got an invite for a cocktail party, and the next day you're going on a trip to Venice, and the next day you've got a spa treatment booked, you just have it all there, and you can just see the itinerary. And also, I usually have the kids club itinerary up there as well.
Very good.
Walls.
Yeah. Another cruise hack, I would always have a look at the apps available for the cruise you're on, and I mean do that about 2 weeks at least before you go, because you can really use them these days to tailor the things that you're doing on board, and sometimes I think if you only use the app maybe a couple of days before you return off the cruise, you realise all this stuff that you could have done, organising your dining, finding out where the restaurants are, tailoring your cruise. More and more cruise lines are investing in the apps, but they don't always publicise them, and you don't know. You go onto the App Store and you can find them, or the Amazon Play thing. So get your cruise apps downloaded. Top tip.
Cruise apps. Okay. I would say, ladies or gents, if you've got a pair of shoes that you love but they're really, really high and you're difficult and you've struggled to walk in them after 2 hours or an hour, just wear them on your cruise holiday, because you can just go back to your cabin really easily. You don't have far to walk anywhere, and if you really want, you can just use the lift. You can wear them, and if you're hurt, you just go back to your cabin and change your shoes.
Nice. Particularly on a US cruise ship, I always make sure on the first day of the cruise, once you're on, bags are off, settled in, I always order a milk and cookies from room service. And the effect of that is it gives you an idea of how long it'll take for them to deliver from the room service menu. And often they all bake, of course, their cookies fresh on board. So often they come warm. And it's mid-afternoon, you've had a long day. It can be a really nice way just to relax and enjoy milk and cookies, because they do it fantastically well.
I do the same, but with gin and tonic.
Okay, well, horses for courses.
Okay. If you're on a cruise, there's a lot of ports every day. Pick and choose. Don't try and go. And I would say choose carefully and manage your agenda. So you're not getting up at 6 a.m. every morning and going on an excursion every single day, because you will end up tired out and you want to come back from holiday refreshed. So I would say, have a look where you really want. So Rome, for example, or somewhere a bit, and your travel agent will be able to help with this. But Rome is a bit harder to get to, or Florence, because the port isn't in the city. So plan an excursion, and you'll be out of the ship for 8 hours, but you could be up at 7 a.m. The next day, I can't remember where you go the next day, but say it's Naples and you've been there 10 times before, you could instead stay on board the ship, because everybody, over 80% of people get off the ship on a port day. And if you're on a ship where some of the activities are quite busy, so say there's somewhere, flow rider on Royal Caribbean, Oasis of the Sea, the Oasis class, so, and the others. There's often on a sea day, that's a really busy area, or even when everyone comes back from the port. On a port day, everyone's wandering around in 40 degrees around Venice or something, and you can use all the facilities quite easily, and easily get a lounge around the pool, and you virtually have the ship to yourself, actually.
That's interesting. I think another thing worth considering is ship refurbishments. So what's interesting is that some ships that we would consider very modern, such as Allure of the Seas, for example, Royal Caribbean, is already being refurbished or re-amplified, as they call it. Now, it's worth, when you find the holiday that you like, it's worth seeing when the ship is going to be refurbished, because it might well be that by the time if you book a holiday 9 months in advance or so, it may well be that it's going to be refurbished by the time you get on. So it's worth having a look around to see what the facilities will be at that time, not necessarily what they are at this time now. And there can be some really pleasant surprises in there, and you can also, if you've got an idea of the sort of things you might want, you can have a look and see which ships are being refurbished when. Knowing that you're going to go on holiday in a year's time, you can then choose the one that's going to be absolutely fresh from a refurb, which means that public areas will be fresh, and lots of times the cabins are given an overhaul, and you can get more bang for your buck that way.
Okay, if you're on a big ship and it's a day when a very busy day in Port Barcelona, for example, if you've been before and you're not an excursion, particularly if it's a port where the ship doesn't leave till late at night, just take your time. Use that. I try and travel or move around the ship at a different time to everyone else. So while everyone all I look out the balcony. If there's 40 excursion buses there, I'll just stay and have a lie-in or get breakfast delivered and just take my time. Let them all go off the ship, and then go and have a nice leisurely breakfast. Everybody's gone, or 80% have, and then go off at leisure and wander around. You don't have to. It's good to use excursions and do that, as part of the group on some days, but other days you can feel free to just do your own thing.
Festive top tip for you. Often the ships are all decorated, ready for Christmas around the sort of the 10th, 11th, 12th of December, meaning the cruise before the big Christmas cruises, often all the decorations are up, the tree is up, that the whole ship is
the Christmas
ready.
Market
Is all ready for the Christmas experience. Of course, a fraction of the price of the Christmas cruise, which is obviously a premium because it all happens. So if the timings allow, you can sometimes get the Christmas holiday cruise experience without the cost.
Yeah, and you can even do the 3 or 4 night ones if you and they do. Some of them fit in the school holiday.
Absolutely, and entertainment's geared up, and as I say, you walk on board and it's just breathtaking.
Cunard are
Rockefeller style trees and everything. It's brilliant.
Cunard do this whole gingerbread city and ski resort. It's moving parts, which is incredible.
Yeah. And similarly, any American style cruise, if you're on over Halloween, expect some of the most fantastic parties you've ever seen. No one really publicises it or talks about it, but of course in the US, fancy dress parties everywhere, and it's a great time to be in the Caribbean too. So it's worth thinking about the time of year that you're on board as well, because
I would say don't get het up on some of the not the dress codes, because there are dress codes on what to wear, but when the themes. So they're not essential to wear, but I would say typically there tends to be either black and white or white. So if you've got a white dress, I'd just pop it in the suitcase, and if you've got like a white suit, do the same.
Of course, when you're John Travolta styling, as I normally am, obviously. Right,
I've got one.
Yep.
Have I just done one?
No, you can do another. You can do another cruise hack.
If you're a family like with several children,
as happens,
6 kids or something.
Yeah, and chickens and cats and dogs.
The price when you're pricing your holiday, usually, the children will be in the separate cabin next door. If you've got 3 kids, you'd have 2 adults in one room, because the cabins don't fit 3 children in usually. But I would always check the price versus a suite, because the suites are bigger, And often the children in the suite, the price for the adults is obviously much more expensive, but you do get a lot more included and a lot more, and you're often in a sort of exclusive part of the ship. But often the children's prices are the same as
true.
in an inside or a balcony cabin. So actually, when you look at what you're getting, you get a lot, and you're in one cabin. That's the key. So it can be cheaper or a similar amount of money, but you've got that whole suite experience.
True.
I even put 2 adults in once, as 3 and 4. Yeah, so you can do that. You can do that. If you're a party of four adults and a child, you can easily fit in one of the suites. It can be much better value.
Yeah, and another fairly well publicised way of getting a really good deal on your next cruise is via the onboard desk. Now, the onboard desks, the next cruise, future cruise desks, whatever you call them, they're well publicised these days, and people know that you go down to the desk and you can often get a fairly good deal with added onboard spend or upgrades. But it's also worth, I think, on the first day of a cruise, going down to the desk, getting to know the future sales consultant and understanding if it's a 7 or 14 night cruise, at which point they're going to have a sale on board, because they might well have a day where they will offer an even better rate, and they'll tell you when that is. And often it can be towards the end of the cruise, because they will work on the onboard offer, and they've got a certain level of autonomy on the desk as well, so they will do a deal for you. So it's definitely worth building up a bit of rapport. But also the good thing is you may be staying in a particular type of cabin. They will show you what the other cabins are, other suites. So if you're staying in a balcony, really interested in the suites, they'll show you what they look like. But also if you think about the excursions or the things you want to do on board the following cruise, it's really worth, if you're thinking about South America or safari or somewhere a bit more off the beaten track, it's worth understanding which cruise you want to do and then talking to the excursion team on board about what you could do there. And often booking excursions on the next cruise, you can get them for up to half price. So, but it's nothing quite like talking about the experiences that you want to find and doing those at the same time you think about the cruise, because it's really an important point. So using the resource which is available to you.
Okay. I would say I would always recommend booking the specialty dining restaurants, because the food is 5-star, and often now we've got Michelin chefs involved. And I once, this is a long time ago but I ate in a Marco Pierre White restaurant on a P&O ship, I think Britannia. But the price for the menu, and I had a bottle of French fry, I don't know, Chablis or something. I think that it was less than half what that would cost in London.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know there's a sort of feeling with there can be a feeling, I've already paid and I've got all my food included. The food that you get included is very, very good, but this is about stepping up to that next level.
Yeah, and particularly if you've got a celebration, or I think even if there's no anniversaries, no birthdays at work. That said, you can always tell them that it is. Top tip. But I think for any holiday, you want to have that one really special night where you'll remember it forever. And I think, as you say, the quality of the food in the main restaurants is fantastic. There's no doubt, but having that really special night is worth every penny.
Yeah, I think I had Dover sole in Marco Pierre White, and that sort of standard of food.
Yeah.
Incredible, and the same restaurant, more than double.
Yeah, and I think I was on, whether it was the same ship I don't know, but certainly Marco Pierre White restaurant, I think it might have been Azura at the time. But wife and I, we sat outside dining under the stars, and we had the meal ended with this dessert that had this sort of caramelized treble clef thing coming, and I'll never forget it. And it's that sort of thing that is.
Did you eat
definitely,
it?
Yeah, it was glorious. It was so delicious. Of course it did. But it's really, and as you say, there is a mentality that says I've already paid for my dining, therefore I shouldn't have to pay again. And it's not really about that. It's about just having those really special moments, which are, I think, they're worth every penny.
Yeah.
With the hustle and bustle of everyday life these days.
On a port day, if you're not going ashore, there's often very reduced prices in the spa.
Yes, that's true.
So
They'll
package up maybe a shorter facial massage for often less than half price. So that's a good tip.
Definitely.
And often on the first or last day, they're less popular too.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it is worth, when you're choosing your itinerary, and it might be even something as iconic as Rome, But if you've done it before and you feel like you want to have a day of real R&R where you just have the ship to yourself, it's worth almost booking an itinerary with a day in mind where you think, do you know what, I'm not going to get off on that day. I'm not going to go to that port because I've seen it before. And then you have the run of the ship, and as you say, there's all sorts going on and activities and things that they do whilst the ship is in port that you don't necessarily think about.
No, I agree. Even if you normally eat in the main dining room in the evening, if you like Indian food, my top tip is eating the buffet on the Indian nights, because a lot of the chefs on the ships are Indian, and it is incredible, authentic Indian food. So I think on P&O now, on P&O cruises now, on the 2-week cruises, sometimes they often have 2 different nights. They have tandoori night and Indian night, because other people have cottoned on to this. Yeah. And I know on Azamara, one of their most popular evenings is the Indian evening in the buffet, and they cook the poppadoms and the puris fresh in front of you, and the dosas. It's incredible.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, and I think you're right that some of the staff, some of the crews and the chefs on board, they are super talented. And I would say, when particularly on the first day when you first get on your cruise, it's really good to get to know your cabin steward really well. It's really worth taking time to have just a quick 4 or 5 minute chat. Understand who they are, where they're from, what they're doing, how long they're on for, because they will look after you so well. And I think it's really good for the crew on board, and they love to get to know people and to have a closer relationship. So it's definitely a good thing to take a bit of time and really get to know your crew.
Yeah. And I would say as well, particularly on a longer cruise, don't feel you have to do the same thing every day. You don't feel like you have to get up, have breakfast, go have lunch, and then go to dinner at a certain time. Because some people, you just get fed up of eating. I think sometimes you want to do something casual. So this is P&O again. Actually, I was on a 17-night cruise, and one night I ate in the Glass House, which is a tapas. So it was quite a formal evening, so we did dress up a bit.
That's the Ollie Smith one.
Yes, it is. So it's amazing wine, and then you can order a few tapas. I think normal.
And some of the wines have been paired with the food. It's really
and he does it. But I did that, and then I went and watched a movie. So on some of them they have movies outside, or you can do the buffet and then watch the movie outside, which is great when you've got kids. I was sailing out of Naples watching the Thor movie, which is incredible when they give you popcorn and that sort of thing. But Ollie Smith, what's good about him is he's not a wine. He knows about good wine, but he's not a wine snob. So top tip, they have wines. This is not just P&O cruises, but he has wines from all over the unusual countries like Austria. Do you know they do good wine there? So, and what they do, and this will spring to mind because I had it before because I've been in an Austrian resort, but they say if you like Pinot Grigio, you will try these, and they have similar ones that you won't have tried. From Slovakia, Eastern Europe as well, and all over the world. Or if you like Sauvignon Blanc, which are very popular, or Shiraz, I don't know, you know more about red wine than me possibly. And it gives you things you've never tried, and you'll try something new. Definitely. But often some of those wines are on the menu, so if you go for dinner...
I always take my Vivino app and either take a picture
I don't
or
know what that is.
You scan bottles of wine to see what they should be paired with or how much they're worth and all this sort of stuff. But it's definitely worth when you are on a cruise, you have a lovely time, you have a lovely meal, and sometimes you have a suggested wine that you might not have had before. I always take a picture of it so that next time you have it, maybe when you're back home, immediately your memories come flooding back of the times you've had, and it's lovely to kind of collect wines in this way.
Okay, well that's all the cruiser hacks we can think of for now.
Yeah, so if you have any cruise hacks of your own, or you want to comment on anything that we've said, then please use the comment box down below. And indeed, if you have any questions, then we'll happily answer them as best we can.
And we can come back with another episode of cruise hacks if you've got anything specific that you want to ask us about.
Yeah, or cruise hacks specific to cruise lines, because of course it's different as you go through the different cruise lines. For any holiday, you want to have that one really special night where you'll remember it forever. Expect some of the most fantastic parties you've ever seen.